Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I want to talk about a flashlight that I've been using for a while. This is the AceBeam branded TK16. All right. In yesterday's video, I showed in that Going Gear EDC Club, they had added the copper version, the limited edition version of this flashlight. Now, the solid copper version sells for about $80 online, give and take, depending on where you find it. And this basic black version sells for $55 pretty consistently. You can find these on Amazon. You can get them directly from the AceBeam website if you wanted to. I think they charge a little bit more direct, but they can be found a bunch of different places. It's a very compact little flashlight. It has the capability of putting out up to 1800 lumens, which is absolutely amazing, especially for its size. But I have to point out, it puts up to 1800 lumens. This is a very complicated flashlight in that there are 3 different sets of LEDs. The battery that comes with this flashlight is capable of putting out that 1800 lumens. However, it is compatible with standard CR123As, which are rechargeable CR123s. Those don't put out as much light, so it's important to realize that. When I got this light, of course, I used it with a standard battery. I was kind of curious to see what the CR123As would do because they do have different run times, different outputs and stuff. So I have these Tenergy brand ones that are obviously rechargeable, and I have a charger for those. That's what I have in the light at the moment. I'm not going to go over the outputs and run times and stuff because it's literally 3 different charts, and each chart has 2 different variants, okay? Depending on what set of LEDs you're using and what battery option you have. So that's a whole bunch of information that's going to completely get lost when people are listening to it. It's just going to be like, it's not going to make much sense, to be honest. Just understand it goes up to 1800 lumens. I believe there's 7 different modes on the flashlight as well. I would highly recommend and encourage you guys to go to AceBeam's website. They lay it all out. Just click on the TK16 model, and you can just scroll down, see all the features, and see all those individual charts, okay? Because like I said, it's a little confusing for me to just verbally say it. For you to see it on charts makes the world of a difference, all right? Because I didn't even really understand it at first until I was looking at the website. I spent about 20 minutes staring at it, and it started to grasp the idea of what's going on here. So first off, in the video yesterday, I had mentioned that this is a black and copper version, but next to the actual copper, this pocket clip and the little accent on the head here, it looks more like a bronze. Okay, it's a little bit of a darker, kind of copperish, brownish, or copper tan type color. So let me zoom in a little bit. All right, so taking a closer look at the head here, they do have a special reflector. I forget what they call it, but essentially it is keeping all of the light throwing forward as opposed to a traditional reflector that may kind of throw it outward. So you have a little bit of a tighter beam here, but when you have that, higher outputs, it's hard to tell. As far as the coloration on these LEDs, I found that in the turbo mode, regardless of whether I had the CR123A or their factory battery, they're supposed to have a lot better output. It was definitely a cool white, more on the bluish side, totally usable light. It wasn't like crazy blue, but you can definitely see it was a bluish tint or a bluish white. And then right around the very edge, there was kind of a yellowish ring. All right, so keep that in mind. For me, I definitely like or prefer more neutral whites and even warm whites over cool whites. Definitely not the worst, but it is noteworthy. If you're standing close to something, you can see that yellow ring that's faintly around the outside of the beam, as well as just the beam itself being kind of bluish white. This flashlight does have a lockout mode, which I really like. First off, there is no lanyard, hole or anything like that. It does not come with a lanyard. And also noteworthy, it does not come with a charging system. This is a question I get quite often, people buying new flashlights. A lot of different brands, they do come with something to charge the battery. What's very common these days is maybe like on a lot of different old lights, let's say, there's a rechargeable port, comes with a little USB charger, you're good to go. When the flashlight dies or when you first get it, it's usually not fully charged anyway. So you plug it into a USB port somewhere in your laptop or wherever, and you're good to go, right? This does not come with a charging system. So like I said, when when this battery ended up dying, I realized that. I went actually to the box to get whatever charger there was and realized there was no charger. Luckily, I had a CR123A charger. So I was obviously swapping to these batteries as well as recharging this one. So just as an aside, if you're interested in this light, you do need to pick up a CR123A charger, okay, and possibly some extra batteries just so you can swap to them once one's dead. But yeah, no lanyard thing on here. There is a reversible pocket clip, okay, which I did reverse. It comes standard with the clip facing downward so that the head of the light is upward. I always like the other way around. I like the button to be upward. If I do actually clip this to my pocket, which more times than not, a small flashlight like this, I'm not clipping to my pocket, but I do clip these to like the molly straps on different types of bags and gear and stuff. All right, it can be very useful to just stick on the side of a bag. Maybe have kind of a go bag, a bob bag, a man purse, whatever you want to call it, or maybe just have a purse. Maybe you're a woman watching. But it gives you a lot of different options in having a reversible clip depending on whatever orientation you want. Small lights like this, just like very small knives, I don't necessarily like clipped to my pocket. I don't feel they're secure, even though more times than not they're fine. It just kind of feels weird to me, so I tend to not use them. Anyway, as far as the function, there is a clicky button on the back. All right. Once you turn it on, very simply, just push and hold. It'll cycle through a couple modes, low, medium, high. At any point in time, if you double click, it goes to the turbo mode. If you click 3 times, it goes to the strobe. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And then from strobe, you can go back by double clicking to turbo, or you can just click it once to shut it off. There is a low light mode, so in the off position, you just push and hold. Okay, there's your moonlight mode, which is very nice. When it is in the off position, to lock the light so that it is not functional, okay, so you don't accidentally turn it on, you push and hold for 5 seconds. All right, so you just keep holding it through that moonlight mode and it's going to blink. And you let go. And now it's locked, which means it doesn't matter how many times you push the button. Well, it does matter how many times, but let's say it accidentally gets pushed in a backpack or something a couple times, it's not going to go on. This is great for long-term storage, so the battery doesn't drain. This is great if you're keeping this in your backpack on a hike or, you know, some kind of wilderness adventure. You don't want to accidentally drain the batteries in your flashlight. God forbid you actually need to use it. You go to pull out and it's dead. So the lockout feature is very good. Also, if you happen to have little kids, you know, they don't just keep turning flashlights on and off all day and kill the battery. When it's in lockout mode, if you tap this 10 consecutive times, all right, it's going to go into the eco mode or change from their standard mode to eco mode. And that's, again, why this gets very confusing with outputs and runtimes, okay? The different LEDs, the different battery sources, and whether you're on eco mode or not will all change your outputs and your runtimes, okay? Eco mode is just how it sounds. When you're in eco mode, you're using less power and the outputs are a little bit lower, okay? This is to conserve the energy in the battery. Just like you may put eco mode in your car or something. When these lights are shipped to you, they are shipped in eco mode, okay? So right off the bat, you're not gonna see those real high outputs unless you change it. So right now it's not in eco mode, so I have to remember this because there's no way to really know except for changing back and forth and seeing how bright it is. So right now it's not in eco mode, but let's say I want to put it back in eco mode. All right, again, from the off position, it's 10 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You see it'll turn on and then shut off. It's still locked out at this point, but you're now switched back to eco mode, okay? So in order to unlock it, you push and hold for those 5 seconds. All right, and it's gonna blink, and then you're good to go. So now I'm in eco mode. So this turbo is gonna be less than when I have it out of eco mode. I know this gets very confusing, this stuff. So I want to take it off eco mode because I do like the highest output. I don't care about runtime so much because I do obviously keep spare batteries for this. So I want to first lock it by pushing and holding it for 5 seconds. Once it's locked, I could do that 10 button thing again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so now it's still locked, but it's swapped to the regular mode. All right, so to unlock it, push again, 5. And we're good to go. Okay, so that's our regular mode. Might be hard to tell just being close here, but that's definitely brighter than the eco mode. So yeah, it's a very small, very, very bright, very confusing flashlight. This is not going to be something you're going to get for your grandmother or grandfather who's 90 to figure out all the different modes and use it fully. This would be for the gearheads if you're really into your EDC stuff and your gear and you want something super compact and stuff. This, I would definitely recommend the light. It's a fantastic flashlight. It has a ton of features. Like I said, it can get very confusing very easily. The $55 price range is not really that bad at all. I mean, particularly someone who would want to buy this for all these features, you're probably spending a lot of money on gear as it is. So $55 I think is worth it. I mean, a light of this size that's capable in the right configuration of putting out 1800 lumens, that's crazy. Overall, my experience has been very good with the flashlight. It is amazing how small it is and how bright it's capable of. Like I said, it can get a little confusing, all those different configurations. You have to kind of sit, look on the website, and really soak all that information in, especially if you're used to using a different flashlight. There's a lot going on here, okay? So it can be a little confusing there. But it's very capable. I think a lot of people would be very happy with this size flashlight. Again, downsides for me, two downsides. Number one, the biggest one for most people is if you have no flashlights, no charging systems, no batteries, and you just want to buy a flashlight, well, it's not enough. You need to buy a charging system for this, okay? Because once you get it, the battery dies, you're SOL, right? So that's a little bit of a downside. So you're spending $55 on the flashlight, which is very reasonable. But then you're going to probably end up spending another 20 to whatever dollars you want to buy a CR123A charger, as well as probably some extra cells. All right, so you could swap them out when those batteries are dead. So that's a little bit of a downside to me, of course. The only other one, and it's a little bit of nitpicking, but again, it's the coloration of the beam. You guys aren't going to be able to tell here, you know, just from this shot. But when it is dark and you have this close to the wall, you can see that it's a very cool white. So you have a little bit of that bluish tint and that little yellow ring around the edge. Again, total nitpicking. When you're using this light 10 feet from the wall on, you know, turbo, you're not going to see any of that kind of stuff. This is just really criticizing the light pattern and comparing it to other flashlights. It's kind of like with knives. I mean, if you have a nice sharp knife, it works great a couple times. But once you start using it over and over and over again, you really can tell the difference between different types of steels and different knives. This is a flashlight. It's going to put off a ton of light. It's going to be perfect for a lot of people. But if you happen to use dozens and dozens of different flashlights, that's when you start to look at all these little details like the coloration of that beam pattern, you know? So it's a very, very fine critique. For most people, they're not going to care. If you're a flashaholic, that might be something that you're more interested in. But generally speaking, people aren't going to notice it or care very much at all. It works very well, super tiny, kind of cool looking. Now, the fact that I swapped this pocket clip here actually gives me a little bit of a thumb rest, all right? So once you turn the flashlight on, it makes it very comfortable like that. Again, just personal preference. I like that the button is up if I do happen to clip it to something. For the simple fact that it doesn't collect dust and dirt and stuff like that. When this is upright, you know, anything that's floating around in the air is collecting on that lens. And obviously you want to keep that nice and clean to let most of that light pass through. Once this gets super dirty, especially if you're carrying it for EDC, like day in, day out, it's going to get dirty. Just like your pocket knives get tons of lint and dust and dirt and stuff in it. So I like to keep that business end down. But again, just personal preference. Anyway, just want to talk about this a little with you guys. Another option, and options are good. Overall, AceBeam as a company, I've had very good experience with. No problems at all with any of their flashlights. I've probably had about 4 of them at this point now. I had one of their largest ones that had like the UV light and all these different options, which was really, really cool, but it was a very expensive light. I think I did a video on that like maybe 2 years ago or so. And then I had 3 of their smaller lights, including this one. Actually 5 if you include the new copper version, but it's basically the same one as this, just with that solid copper body. But yeah, pretty cool. I would definitely recommend them, but like I said, a little bit more advanced, a little bit more complicated, depending on how much you want to get into your lights. But I wouldn't recommend it as a present to someone who's not into gear. It would be a little bit too confusing them to figure all this stuff out. That's when you want those flashlights to just click on, click off, or just twist it on, twist it off. You know, so there's different flashlights for different people and different purposes. This is definitely more of your gearhead type flashlight. So anyway, that's it. If you happen to have the AceBeam TK16, I'd love to hear your opinions down below. But those have been mine. Overall, extremely positive. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.